Hello everyone, welcome to one class. My name is Shanjita and today I'll be going over some commonly asked mathematical questions. I'm currently a second year human biology student at U of T, and if you guys need any additional school work, help, or tutoring, please check the description down below and let's get started. Okay, so question number one we have here says, what is ethanol? So basically, ethanol is a compound, an organic compound, which has an alcohol group in it. So an alcohol group, alcohol group basically consists of an OH group. So an OH as in like an oxygen covalently bond with hydrogen, and so this is a really strong bond, like a very strong bond, and it is an alcohol is basically hydrophilic, meaning it can dissolve in water very rapidly. It dissolves completely, and ethanol is a solution. It's liquid and it's colorless, and so the chemical formula for this is CH2 CH2 so we can just draw this out saying that this is, so it has two carbons, CH2 and then we have another H over here, and then we have our alcohol group. So basically it has two carbons, and it has an alcohol group on any of the carbons. So this is how we draw a chemical structure formula for ethanol. It can also be written as ETOH, short form for ethanol. And yeah, this is a secondary alcohol. It also, because it has two carbons here, so yeah, this is how so this is what an ethanol is. It's really hydrophilic, meaning it can dissolve in water really rapidly, and it's very polar too. And yeah, this is what we got. Chemical formula, yeah. And so the second question we have here says, what is square root of 64? So second question, so square root 64 equals what? So in order to do this, the first simple way we can do it is to make a tree, like a tree branch type of method, like put 64 here and like find the common multiples of 64. So the highest common multiple would be 16 times 4, and we can further break 16 down. As we know, we can further do it by like 4 times 4, and we can break down 4 even more, 2, just 2 times 2. We can also break down each of these 4 and put 2, 2, 2, 2. So since we've broken down all of the common multiples, we can't really further break down 2. So we can see that we have 3 groups of 2 here. And so what we're going to do here is take all these 3 groups of 2 and multiply it and put it under a square root. So we can see here we have 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. So we have 3 groups here, as you can see. So we can just rewrite this as 2 squared 2 squared 2 squared. And so ultimately, if the squares get cut out, we have, since the square, if we have a square under a square root, so this basically just cancels out because of the inverse. And then we basically have 2 times 2 times 2, which is equal to 8. And then basically this is the answer. So we have square root of 64 equals 8. And this is the answer. Yeah. And so our next question says, what is the formula for the radius of a semicircle? So we have, just draw this in. So we have a semicircle that looks, which is basically half a circle. So it looks something like this. And so they're telling us to find the radius of a semicircle. So to find the radius, we need a formula. So basically, to find the formula for a semicircle is, as you can see, it's half of a circle. So recall that the area of a circle is pi r squared of a full circle. So I'll just denote as C equals pi r squared. So from the diagram you can see it's half. So what we're going to do for the semicircle, I'm just going to write H, is basically we're just going to multiply half with the whole equation. So it's going to be half pi r squared. And so to isolate this equation, like for example the r from this equation, we have to move everything to the other side of the equal sign. And so the easiest way to do it is to multiply 2 on both sides. So I'm just gonna multiply 2. Okay, so then we have 2, which cancels out, so we have 2a equals pi r squared. And so our next step is to move the pi. So we have 2a pi equals r squared. And to get rid of the square, we need to square root on the other side. So we have square root 2a over pi, which equals to r. So this is how you find r from the area of a semicircle. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying semicircle, it's supposed to be semicircle. Okay, so this is how you find the radius from the area of a semicircle. Also, to find the parameter, so the parameter is basically the full distance, so it's 2 pi r plus the whole distance. So the distance, as in, if you go back here, the distance, this whole distance, which is the diameter, so it's this whole distance, and so it's gonna be plus d. And since we know d, so the diameter is basically 2 pi r, so d is equal to 2 pi r, because it's 2 times the radius, 2 times the radius. So the easiest thing to do, since we have two variables, we want to make this expression, this expression in terms of r, because we're trying to find r. What we can do is substitute 2r into this d instead of like substitute it for d, and what we get is p equals 2 pi r plus 2r. So see, we only have one variable, so it's easier to isolate now. So now what we do, we can factor out a 2 and an r, since it's common between these two terms. What we're left with is pi plus 1, basically. And so what we get to so in order to isolate r, what we have to do, take everything to the other side. Since so the easiest thing to do is to move the pi plus 1 to the other side, so it's going to be divided by pi plus 1 is equal to 2r. And so to isolate r now, what we're gonna do is move the 2 to the other side as well. So pi over 2 pi 1 is equal to r. So this is what we get as our final answer, and the other one, which is here, in terms of a semicircle. Yes, so okay, so this is supposed to be a pi, I think they did, and yes, so this is what we basically get. Yeah. So correct, but the first answer should be I think it was, yeah, square root of 2a over pi, which equals r. Okay. So our next question, number 3, says what is ln e to the power of x. So a ln function is basically the natural function of log. So question. So basically, recall that, so a ln function, ln of e to the power of x. So a ln is a natural logarithm of log, basically. So it's a log base e. So a log base e is a ln, as a ln function. And so to find this, recall that basically a log base e to the power of x is basically ln e to the power of x. So the log base e is basically a ln function. Log base e is literally a ln function. So what we can say here, so since we know that ln of e is equal to 1, so since they're the inverses, they're gonna equal 1. So then what we have here is, what we can do here is, since we have log, so what we can have here is log of, if we go back to our basic log properties, so log base a of x, a to the log base, and if we have basically b to the power of x, which is 10, and then basically to bring this down, what we need to do is to log on both sides, which we will do here, and bring the x down, and we have b. And so what we have here is, so using this property, what we can say is we can bring the ln of e to the x down here if we ln both sides. So we can do ln e to the power of x equals, basically if we do equals ln e, if we do ln e to the power of x equals, and since we have ln here, we can basically bring the x down. So we basically have x ln to e. Since we already have a ln, we can basically bring the x down here, since we're just using this formula right here. And so what we get is x ln of e, which equals, since ln of e is equal to 1, we can say it's equal to x to 1, which ultimately equals x. And so the question was ln e to the power of x is equal to x. And this is yes. Solution is correct. So our next question says, what is the product of x plus 9 times x plus 1? So this is our fifth question. And so using FOIL. So okay, the way we use FOIL is basically we're just expanding this whole expression. X plus 9, x plus 1. So what we're going to do is just expand this whole thing by multiplying out each term with the next. So basically we're going to multiply this with this, and then this with this, and then 9 with 1. So what we get here, so if we multiply x and x, since they have an exponent of 1, we don't really usually write it. So recall your basic multiplication, your exponent formulas, like rules. So like if we have exponents that are multiplying with each other, we add them up. So 1 plus 1 would be 2. So we get here x squared. And then if we multiply x times 1, which is just x, because x times 1 times a number is just itself. So then we have, and then we do 9, the second term. So 9 times x would be 9x, and then we multiply 9 times 1, which is 9. and then we use our two middle terms and add them up. So what we get here is x squared plus 10x plus 9. So this is our answer, and if you want to verify, you can just factor this again and we would get the 2 brackets. And yeah, and yes, this is what we get. When we expand these 2 terms, this is the answer is a polynomial. And so now what we're gonna do here is use so question number 6 says, how do you evaluate 2 cos of pi over, so what we say here is 2 cos pi over 3 minus 6 tan of pi over 3. Okay, so if we look at our unit circle over here, we can see that we have a lot of different, like with the corresponding angles, we have our units, our points. So the easiest way to find, the first step I would do is to find the angle, so convert pi over 3 into an angle. So recall that pi is basically equal to 180, whereas 2 pi is equal to 360. And so pi over 3 would equal to 180 over 3, which is basically 60 degrees. And so if we look at our unit circle over here, we can see that the corresponding angle to 60, the units are a half and square root 3 over 2. So the corresponding angle to, so pi over 3 is basically, we can write this as a half and root 3 over 2. So when we look at these coordinates, we can basically say that this is our cos of x, and this is basically sine. So basically these are the points for cos and sine. So in order to do the question, it says to find 2 cos of pi over 3 and tan. So what we can do here is basically, so since we know cos of 60 is equal to a half, and then sine 60 is equal to root 3 over 2. So then what we have here is to find, so the question was, we have to find 2 cos. So I'm just rewriting this, substituting as 60 minus 3 tan of 60. So I think this was the question. 6 tan, sorry. 6 tan of 60. So to find tan, we know that tan of x is equal to sine x over cos of x. So basically, to find tan, since we already found cos, we have to find tan. This would basically equal to, so if I write tan of 60 equals to, so sine of 60 over cos of 60. And what we get here, since sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, and we divide that by a half, so we have to flip this, and what we get here is root 3 over 2 times 2 over 1. So then these two get cancelled out, and then we ultimately get root 3. So basically tan of 60 equals root 3. So going back to our equation, which is 2 cos, I'm just rewriting 60 minus 6 tan of 60. So what we can write here is multiply, since 2 cos, so it was a half, minus 6 root 3. So basically the answer over here is 1 minus 6 root 3. Sorry. This is basically equals, okay, equals to this. And yes, so this is the answer we get. So let's look at the answer. So always keep in mind the unit circle and try to know the common coordinates, so that you can solve these type of questions. And so we're on question 7. How do I evaluate log of 10? Log 10. So since, okay, log 10, not log of 10 equals what? So we know that log, if there is nothing in for the base, it's just 10. We assume it's 10. And so if we want to rewrite this, we can say that this is basically equal to log base a of x, which equals to y. And to find x, what we do here is x is basically equal to a to the power of y. So in order to find log 10, what we do here, so since log 10, this is a base 10, we don't really write base 10. So in order to, so we can just say this is equal to what? So what we can do here is say that so basically we can say x in this case is 10, a is also 10, so, and we need to find y. So basically what we can do is find the inverse, find the opposite. So what we're trying to go opposite here. So to do that, we need to, since a to the power of y is equal to x, we can say that we have to find, a number which will ultimately equal to 10. So a to the power of something has to equal 10. So we know that a to the power of something has to equal 10, or let's say 10 to the power of something has to equal to 10. So this is an easy, like, to do this we can simply just guess our simple trial and error, but like the easiest way to do this is just to, because we know that 10 times itself, so 10 times 1, will ultimately equal 10. So 10, so basically y is equal to 1. Another case you can see that, tell, is because we have the same, since log 10 has a base of 10 and our x is also 10, so in this case our x is our 10. So since this is 10, if we have the same base and our x is also same, so that is basically equal to 1. This is just a common rule to apply. So yeah, log base 10 is equal to 1. Correct. And so, okay, number 8 says, what is the square root of 25? So basically, if we go back, this is back to a previous question we just did, we can find the common multiples of 25. Since 25 is an odd number, it really wouldn't have much multiples as in an even number. So in order to find the common multiples of 25, since this number ends at 5, we can assume that, or in most cases, its multiples are going to end in 5 too. So the common multiples of 25 are only 5 and 5. So if we take this and put it under a square root and be 5 times 5, which is equal to 5 squared, and since the inverse of square is square root, basically this and this gets cancelled and we get 5. So the square root of 25 is equal to 5. Oh yeah, plus or minus 5. Always keep that in mind too. Yeah. This goes for all the cases. So like if we're doing square root, there's always a positive and a negative, and this is correct. And so our 9th question says, how to find the exact value of cos inverse of 0. So in order to find this, what we need to do is, basically we're looking at an inverse function of cos right now. So in order to find cos inverse of 1, cos inverse of 0, cos inverse of 0. So what this is basically saying is cos inverse of x has to equal 0. So we're basically trying to find x in this case. So so if we rewrite this as not the inverse but the regular way, we can see that cos of 0 equals x. So in order to find x, so we know from our unit circle that cos of 0 equals either pi over 2 or 3 pi over 2. So basically what we're trying to do here is say that what we're trying to say here is that x, since we already found the x, because cos of 0 is equal to 1 and I think -1, yes. So then if we want to find the angle, we can just substitute 180 for pi and find out the answer. But so basically x would be in the range of, so this is our lowest value would be pi over 2, and it's in between 2 pi, since 3 pi over 2 is basically 180 over 2, so this is just 270. So basically it's in between 2 pi and pi over 2, which is 90 degrees. So this is what we get. Yes, so cos inverse of 0 is equal to this. So then theta, basically, which I said was x, you can say theta is equal to 0, or like pi over 2 is in between these two values. Yeah. So 0 and 2 pi, sorry. Yeah, this is right. Okay. What is what is sine? Question number 10. What is sine -90? Sine of -90. Okay, so since we're dealing with negative angles here, we want it to be positive. So the way we can do this is apply the rule where we can say that negative. So in order to do this, we have to do -90 plus 360. So this will give us a positive angle, which equals to 270. So what we can say here is basically this is the same thing as saying sine -90 is basically the same thing. Basically the same thing as sine of 270. So if sine of 270, so this is basically, you know, this is, you can represent in the same way, since because we want to deal with positive angles here, so I would convert the negative angle to a positive angle by adding 360. So in this case, sine of -90 is equal to 270, which basically equals to -1. And yes, the answer is this. It's a straight sine. Yeah. Okay, so what is the pH of salt and vinegar? So we're doing a common chem question. So this is our 11th question. So basically, a salt arises from a neutralization reaction which occurs between, so salt, let's write this down, salt comes from a neutralization reaction. So I'm just writing reaction as an RXN for short. So this is a neutralization reaction which happens through a strong acid reacting with a strong base. And so since we have a strong acid and strong base, this will, since it's a neutralization reaction, you can probably guess that the pH would be neutral. And so an example of this would be an example I would say here would be a strong acid could be HCl, hydrochloric acid, aqueous, plus HCl, aqueous, plus a strong base would be basically NaOH, sodium hydroxide. And this would ultimately, if we were to react this, so we know that our H would react with OH and then our Na would react with Cl. So what we get here is NaCl plus H2O. So a neutralization reaction produces a salt and water basically. So this is a simple strong acid strong base neutralization reaction, and this is NaCl is a common salt that we all know, and so for this reason the pH is neutral basically. So it's basically approximately 7. So yeah, a neutral pH is basically 7. So we can say that the pH of a salt is approximately it's near 7, although there could be some debate about it. And so the other says, what is the pH of vinegar? So vinegar is slightly it's acidic. That's why you get a sourish, a strong, it's basically a strong sour, kind of like sourish taste, and it's very acidic because it has alcohol. It has vinegar is basically, it has alcohol in it, so it has like vinegar, it has alcohol, so like hydroxyl groups. Alcohol as in like hydroxyl groups. And so like its pH is near I guess 3-ish, 3 to 4-ish. So it's considered pretty acidic. So I wouldn't I wouldn't drink that just by itself. So it's pretty acidic. Yes. Solution is correct. And so, okay, so our next question says, how do you convert 0.1875 into a percent and fraction? Okay, so we're dealing with decimals here. So to convert a decimal, so I'll say it to convert decimal to fraction. So, oops, why am I writing it so bad? Okay, fraction. Okay, so what we have here is 0.1875, and to convert this into a fraction, what we can do, since this is this decimal, the highest I guess highest class would be like in the thousands, since these are ones, tens, hundreds, thousands. So to convert this into a fraction, we could just multiply this by 1,000 first to get it to a whole number, and then what we can do here is, so we have 1875, and just write this here. So this is equal 1875, and then to make this into a fraction, we could just also divide this. This is the same thing as expressed. So this is 1875 over 1000 is basically the decimal. So to make this to simplify this even more, we can just divide this by 5. So divide both by 5, I guess. Yeah. And then what we get here is 375 over 2000. We can divide this further with 5, since we see like both of the, it's divisible by 5 because the numerator has its number ending in 5, and the denominator has a 0. So 5 is divisible by the tens column number also. So what we have here is basically 75 over 100, and we can even further divide this by 5, and what we get here is we have 15 over divided by 5. Yeah, we get, what we have here is 75. Yeah, okay, 15, and we have here 20. And we can divide this even more and simplify this even more. And what we get here is 3 over 4. So oops, I think I did this wrong. This is supposed to be 400. I'm so sorry. Okay, that's why. Okay, so this is supposed to be 400, and then what we get here is 15 over 400 divided by 5, which is 80. Divide this by 5 even further, the numerator and the denominator, and what we get here is 3/16. And so this is, we can't divide this even more because 5 is not divisible by 3 or 16. So so this is the simplest fraction of, so this is basically 0.1875. So this is basically the simplest fraction for 0.1875. And to convert this into a percentage, what we do here is, since percentage is percentage means like divided by 100, divide by 100, what we can do here is first multiply. So we first multiply by first we multiply by 100, and then we basically means multiply. So we already have a decimal, multiply the decimal by 100. So what we have here is basically 0.1875 multiply by 100, and what we get here is basically, we can just move this decimal place 2 places, and what we get here is 18.75, and make sure to put the percentage symbol, which is that. And so this is the answer this is supposed to be percentage. Okay, and so this is the answer of how to convert this into a percentage and a fraction. Okay. Oh yes, got this, and yes, we got this. Correct answer. Good job. Okay. So can do this question. So question 13 says, what is the molar mass of aluminum? So molar mass of aluminum equals what? So the molar mass of aluminum is so when we're talking about molar mass, we're trying to measure or weigh one. So what we're trying to do here is measure or like weigh, measure 1 mole. So like 1 unit, 1 mole of aluminum in this case. So since they're just asking for aluminum, just what is the molar mass of aluminum by itself. So the molar mass, however, we need the molar mass. So the molar mass of aluminum is 26.98989, I think, gram per mole. 982. So we get this is from the periodic table, gram per mole. And so this is the molar mass of 1 aluminum, and so this is just 1 mole, 1 unit mole. So if we want to find 2 moles, for example, two moles of aluminum, we would just multiply 2 times 26.982, and what we get here, 26.982 times 2, and we get here the molar mass of 2 moles of aluminum would be 53.964 grams per mole. So when you're dealing with molar mass, if you're given an equation and you're trying to find a molar mass of the element, just see the coefficient. So the coefficient in this case is 2. If it was 3, you just have to multiply 3 into the molar mass, the given molar mass, which you can find in the periodic table, and multiply the two numbers, and you can get your molar mass of that given number of moles. So that was it for today. If you liked our Q&A session, please subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon and the notification bar to get updated or notified whenever we post a video. And if you have any personal questions, you can follow the links down below and ask them there. And other than that, this is Shanjita signing off, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.